So we are back, and this is going to be another very interesting segment that I have here. I have Jerry Williams, and he's the owner of American Precious Metals. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Now, I want you to tell us a little bit about what's happening. What is happening with gold today, and a little bit about yourself and what you do, and then you're going to do a giveaway, and this is going to be a lot of fun. So go ahead.
Okay. Well, my background is 40 years now in this business. 12 years in the middle of that 40 was spent as a securities and commodities trader. So I know a little bit about this. I started buying gold in 1971, and by 1973 I decided this is what I wanted to do for a living. So that's what I've been doing, is providing liquidity and most of the time safety and good advice at reasonable prices for people.
Okay.
And I started this company 20 years ago, and so we're right there in Camelback here in Phoenix. We'll just have one single office, 5 employees. We do pretty good business here.
Silver Eagle coin. It's a 2013. We're going to give away 5 of these. So we have everybody you're going to call in. You can either ask a question or not, or we're just going to go ahead and take your number. We're going to go 5 are being given away. It's a $25 value, and will it go up? Let me ask you that.
Well, that's the question. I didn't even get started on that. You know, what's happening with gold? What's happening with silver?
Yeah.
Silver reached nearly $50 an ounce just 2 years ago. It has dropped down to 18. Currently, it's just under 20. So the question is it going to go up? Well, you know, if you use contrary opinion, there's such negative press on the metals right now. You would almost want to go the other way. It's like the blood in the streets theory. You know, you buy when everybody else is. You buy straw hats in the winter, that sort of thing. So that's why we like silver, because it's just been beaten up so badly. And your first question is what on earth is happening with gold? Well, we had 12 straight years of double-digit gains from 2000 to 2012. Gold went from $300 to $1,900. So it was way overdue for a correction. And we had that correction. We had it up until the beginning of this year. And then in April, something unusual happened. That's the story I was telling you about. We've had a push by concerted interests, I call them money center banks and speculators, using futures contracts, selling tons of paper gold on paper, not the actual physical metal itself. Well, that caused a panic in the markets. So you've had a complete sell-off, and gold is down now to about $1,250, about 37% off of its high. Again, using contrary opinion, there's such negative press on gold, we think it's a time to be starting to accumulate it.
You can call in, you can get the coin, or you can ask questions. He's here to answer them live. Okay, so we talked about this. So you think that gold is going to go, is it through going down?
I think it's possible it could go lower. If it goes too low, you have a problem, because right now at $1,200 roughly, and we've been right there, you're at the cost of production for many of these major mines. If it goes any lower than that, the mines start to close because it's unprofitable to continue to mine gold if it's below what what's costing you to buy it to
bring
mine
out
it. Right.
to mine it.
So at that point, you've created a shortage, which would be positive for the metal itself.
All right. So why should the average person buy gold that stocks are going that they're doing so well right now?
Well, stock market is doing well, and that's one reason why you might want to consider how fickle it is. When Ben Bernanke announced last week that he might be cutting back on bond purchases and money creation, the stock market dropped 350 points in one day. The following day, another 250. So then, of course, he came back and said, well, I didn't really mean it. I was just thinking about it. Well, now we've had a rally again. So the market is very sensitive to what's going on with the government monetary policy. So I don't think stocks by any tradition are cheap now. In fact, they're really kind of expensive. Gold, on the other hand, is very cheap, close to cost of production. So it's time to go the other way. And why should a person buy gold? Well, I think it's for safety of long-term savings. And I emphasize long-term, not the grocery money, not on margin, not futures or options. Gold in your hand for safety.
I always thought that, gold would be the best thing to buy, that it was like something that would never go down, really.
If you take your previous guest's advice and start reading the Bible, you'll find it in there. Gold is recommended as money way back then. The Constitution says it's real money, and all these civilizations that got away from it, like the Romans, the Byzantines, all the European countries that failed, all got away from using gold as money.
You also have a lot of things that you do, like a newsletter that you said that is just went up on your website. Let's talk about that. And what it has in there?
Well, it's kind of a summary of what we put out on our blog daily and our website. Just a summary of some charts that shows the direction of the metals. We quote other authors, not just our own opinions, but other resources to show what's going on in the metals markets: gold, silver, platinum, and palladium. We handle all four, actually.
Okay, and it's 40 years of experience in this
40
business.
years, and they went awfully fast, too. And we had about maybe a 20-year period from 1980 to 2000 where it was pretty flat, which is why I was doing stocks and commodities instead of gold and silver.
Right. Now, again, he's giving away for 5. We're going to give away 5 of these. I keep on doing that. I don't know why, but 5 of these. They're pure 1 ounce pure silver eagle coin, and it's a U.S. mint. It's a 2013, and it's a $25 value, free to you. And so maybe it's you, maybe it's someone you know that would like something like this. They're going to go up. I think they're going to go up.
I think so too. They always nothing goes down forever, nothing goes straight up forever either. So the markets are volatile. You have to know that going in. It's going to fluctuate, and don't put the grocery money in there because when you need it for groceries, it might be down, and you don't want to be, taking out your long-term savings to buy grocery.
Now, on TV, we see that people are recommending silver, recommending it. What do you think about that? Is it a good investment?
Well, the key word investment there implies a number of things like income and all that. When you buy silver, you don't get any income. It's a it's a speculation basically, because it is in short supply. It's an essential commodity for industry. We have to have it. There's a known shortage of it. So on that basis alone, when you take off the things for industry and coinage and things like that, there's not enough to last maybe 10 years. So it's also been subjected to the same sort of speculation that drove the gold price down. You can borrow money at practically nothing, sell short at 20 to 1 leverage, and force the price to go down, and then you buy it right back and make a lot of money. That's what these money center banks have done with the metals.
Wow. It's so fascinating, isn't it really?
It should be illegal, but it isn't. But I think it's immoral myself.
We've been talking a lot about this. It's a crazy business to be in. Former Congressman Dr. Ron Paul has repeatedly called for a return of the United States to a gold standard. Okay? Do you think that will ever happen?
Well, he actually got that onto the Republican Party platform, but unfortunately, due to the hurricane, they canceled the third day, and it never was brought up during the Republican convention. It's a nice thought. It's too bad that it won't happen anytime soon. May never happen. It probably won't happen without worldwide demand for it, because it would require governments to be honest and disciplined in their monetary policies. That's something that we don't have today anywhere in the world. It's like I say, it's too bad that governments don't trust each other anymore, and people don't trust their currencies because it's not backed by anything. You can just create them out of thin air. For example, most people don't know this, but the German government has asked for their gold, which they had stored in this country, to be returned to them. It's only 300 tons, which is not a huge amount. It's about 8% of their total stated reserves. Our response was we told them we'd get it to them in 2020, 7 years. So you can kind of draw your own conclusion there. Do you think maybe they think it's not there?
Yeah.
And if they don't trust us, how do we know our gold is there? There hasn't been an audit in 40 years. We can't get an audit. Ron Paul's requested that too. So is it there? Well, if they don't talk about proof, they could prove it by having an extensive audit, but it's not being done. So
that could be very scary.
It is scary, isn't it?
Oh, my goodness. So, okay. So who has the most gold? I know. I already know. Can I answer that without
Sure.
you so I can look like I'm smart?
All right.
I'm going to say, you're going to say I'm wrong right after I say this. India.
No. Actually, I don't know what India's total reserves are, but they're way down there. The most reserves are on paper anyway. This is the
not
estimates.
paper. I thought you meant people
this
wearing
is the
it.
United States government. The Treasury supposedly has 8,339 tons of gold.
Who? Us?
Us.
Really?
That's what we're supposed to have. But, again, it has been
We don't know
audited.
if it's there.
But that's what is stated. This comes from the World Gold Council. Number 2 is the International Monetary Fund, 4,500 tons. Number 3 is Germany, 3,800 tons. Number 4, China with 1,000 tons. So China supposedly, according to the official numbers, way down there. I have seen reports from other sources that say China has 6,000 tons, which would put them up close to what we supposedly have. I think that they're, number one, people don't know this. China is the world's largest producer and largest importer of gold. I think their goal is to have the next world reserve currency themselves backed by gold.
I have to ask you one question before we take this caller. Where's the gold? I mean, if you don't know where it is, where do they keep it? Tons and tons and tons of gold.
A lot of it's 7 stories underground in Manhattan, in Federal Reserve. Some of it's at Fort Knox. That's where the last audit was.
Wow,
1974.
so it's all over. Okay,
Yeah.
Dennis, you're on the line. What's your question?
Yes. Hello. I wanted to say I'm a longtime friend of Jerry's, and probably 35, 40 years. Anyway, my question is do you think it's possible, or do you think in the future the government will prevent private citizens from owning gold and silver?
I get asked that question a lot. I also get asked, will they make it illegal and confiscate it, similar to 1933? It would seem to be inconsistent with the fact that they're currently producing gold, and very profitably, by the way, at the U.S. Mint, and have been since 1986. There's such lack of respect for gold that they currently value the gold that we have at 8,300 tons at $42 an ounce. So they sort of ignore it and actually ridicule gold. It doesn't seem likely that they would be trying to confiscate it from us.
That's a great question. So it's been asked a lot, you said. But thanks for the call. Now,
Okay.
I'm sorry, did you want to ask another one?
Oh, no. I just wanted to tell them thank you for the newsletter. I'm enjoying it.
And, okay, so let's go back to some of these other questions here. So we've seen predictions of like 500,000. I'm hoping this is right.
5,000 and 10,000. I've seen those too. Yeah, $5,000 an ounce, $10,000 an ounce. I mean,
so is that really true?
Well, I don't think it's too realistic for the near term, but think about that. If that was to happen, that would mean our U.S. dollar would basically devolve to the status of a third world currency. Mm-hmm. And anybody who really wants that to happen would be insane, in my opinion. It would be only as a complete runaway spending by our government, which is already there. So, how's it going to stop? Where is it going to stop? I don't know the answer to that. So, yeah, $5,000 or $10,000 would be a total disaster.
So how does it work when somebody calls you and they want to talk to you about working with you? How does that work? And is it you that they work with?
Well, we have knowledgeable people there. My daughter Courtney is there. We have people who've been with us quite a number of years.
Right.
One fellow, 18 years in the business, and he was with another firm before that. So everyone's on top of what's going on in the market. But basically, we have private consultations there, either by phone or in private office at our place. And mostly, as I said before, we talk about physical possession, not a stock, not a certificate, not on margin, something that you actually hold in your hand, because just like the good German government, we want to make sure that we have it in our possession. Because once it leaves your hand and goes into some account, it really isn't yours, is it?
Right.
It's the person.
And then you spend it. That's what I think. Okay, let me ask you something, though. When you have it physically, okay, do you keep it in your possession by, obviously, where would you put that?
Most people, for the time being, and I specify time being, use safe deposit boxes in banks. I personally have 3 of them in 3 different places. I just kind of spread it around. I don't think the banks are in imminent danger of failing, but a lot of our people do think that, and so they bury it in the yard or something like that. Not my first recommendation.
No.
There is private storage, by the way, which is not part of the banking system. There's a place here called a Mountain Vault up in North Phoenix. Very reliable, been around for 50 years. Mm-hmm. So those are some of the options. I see people recommending storage in Europe, Australia, and another country. I don't like the remoteness of that. Again, once it leaves your hand, it's difficult maybe in some cases to get it back. So I think you should get it in your physical possession. Now, we also have rare coins as well as bullion bars and bullion coins. Mm-hmm. Either way, you should have it in your possession.
Any predictions on prices for the rest of the year?
Oh, boy. Everybody asks me that one. And I jokingly say that I've given up making predictions, particularly about the future. But anyway, having said that, I think it's a reasonable guess to think that gold will probably not go below it, 1,100. It has not been there yet. The low was 1,178 last week during the day. It's currently $1,250 right now. 1,100 on the downside. 1,400 is a good target for the upside. That would be a good bull market signal. On silver, we've seen the $18 level. It's possible we can see it again. We're close to 20 right now. I think 28 would probably be the range for the rest of this year. It's just 6 months away.
Right. It's
Just
a crazy,
guesswork, though, really, isn't it?
It really, but doesn't it change daily?
Oh, during the day. It's all over
does,
the place.
doesn't it?
Yeah, we've had $100 price swings in gold in one day, between the high and the low.
And why does that happen?
Well, again, we're the tail wagging the dog at our level. We're at the retail level. I mean, there's huge money center banks that sell tons of gold, and unfortunately for us, the physical price is determined by whatever the futures market does. So when they can use 20-to-1 leverage, borrow money at zero from the Fed window, I'm talking about Goldman Sachs and J.P. Morgan, some of these big outfits, as well as private hedge funds and mutual funds. Well, they can move this market around. They don't necessarily be talking to each other. They just have the same idea. They look at the same charts. They know where the stops are. They manage to, like a bear raid on a stock. If we did this in the stock market, we'd go to prison, really. But they can do this on the commodity exchanges, and there's no investigation. There's no penalty for it. And they make billions of dollars doing this.
It's a crime.
It should
isn't
be.
it? I mean, it is a crime. And thus we wonder why our economy and everything is so crazy.
Well, it can't last forever, and it won't.
Okay.
Because they'll be on the wrong side of it, and they'll have to cover these short positions, and then it'll be back up to $1,900 again. I don't know when, but it will be.